Deepwoken, a game with things known as boons and flaws, cause and effect, and other titles. Now, here's the thing with Deepwoken. Each element specializes in one thing, with the sole exception of Gale Breath, of course. Now, what do I mean by that? And let me sit back in my chair. Pretty much, and before I have people saying, oh yeah, Gale Breath isn't strong, or Gale Breath doesn't need nerfs, I want you to go through this video, look at my points, and explain reasonably why Gale does not need any nerfs, and then also, don't just say, oh yeah, it's easy to parry though, because a lot of the time, Gale Breath is not easy to parry. So first thing, let's look at what Gale Breath can do status-wise, because statuses are one of the most important things in this whole game, right? And the thing is, elements like Frostdraw sacrifice damage in order to apply more statuses, and the reason why I say this is because most Gale Breath mantras are doing above 40 damage, but if we look at Frostdraw, which is supposed to do less damage in order to have more sustain, it doesn't really have the damaging potential. Most Gale Breath mantras are doing over 50 to 40 damage. A lot of the times they're doing over 70 damage, right? And then we compare that to moves from the Frostdraw kit. The only moves in Frostdraw's kit that does high damage is Frozen Servants, Cubes, Ice Smash, and Rising Frost. Rising Frost, you're not landing all ticks. Ice Smash, you're only landing one tick, and that's 58 damage, which is still good, because that's 58 damage. Frozen Servants does 44 damage, which is a lot. And then we look, I mean, considering it's really fast and it's really good for shaky, 44 damage is a lot for that, right? And then we look at Cubes. Cubes is useless, nobody uses Cubes, right? But Gale Breath has the ability to apply not one, but two status effects. With every other element, they can only apply one. With Frostdraw, it's chill. With Flame, it's on fire. With Thunder, it's shocked. Gale gets two. Now, here's the thing about the Gale status. They are insanely strong. Now, for starters, we look at Frostdraw, right? Or not Frostdraw, we look at Gale Breath. It has the two statuses known as Winded and Suffocate. And I need to differentiate Winded and Suffocate. Suffocate is primarily only applied off of Spectre, but Winded can be applied by not only Spectre and normal Gale. However, Spectre is useless in its current state, which does need buffs. In its current state, Spectre is really bad, and everything Spectre does, Gale does, like normal Gale does, but better, so there's that, right? But what Winded does is it reduces your swing speed by 10% if this is applied to you. And this gets applied on pretty much every single Gale Breath mantra, and it's signified by little like swirls around your character's head. If you see this, you are inflicted, and this means you swing 10% slower, which doesn't sound too crazy until you realize Deepwoken has a swing through plus speed meta, which Gale not only provides speed, but it also lets you swing through easier because Winded reduces the other person's swing speed. Now we can also look at Suffocate, which is the other status effect that Gale Breath has. Gale Breath can apply Suffocate, which what Suffocate does is it removes people's ability to not only use mantras, but it also slows them, and theoretically if they were to jump, they get dazed, which makes them slower again. Now that alone sounds crazy. They have high damage, and they have two status effects, both of which are super good. What if I told you Gale has more than just that? Gale Breath also has the ability to posture stack extremely well as combo extend into pretty much every single Gale Breath move. Every single Gale Breath move allows each other to link into each other. And a quick example of a string that you could do on Gale Breath that has been done before and is extremely easy to land while doing high damage is Wind Gun into Slide Jump Windblade. Wind Gun does about, I'd say 60 damage, I think. Let me check the wiki. Let's see, Wind Gun does 61 damage at level 5. Now, we look 61 damage. This is without scaling. This is just level 5. So 61 damage plus Windblade, which Windblade just so happens to do a total of 57 damage. So if we add that together, it's pretty much doing, if you read it carefully, what does that do? 120 damage with two mantras. And it's not like it's hard to land, and also it applies more status effects while also boosting your speed and reducing your target speed. If they jump, it slows them even more. They can't use mantras either. They can't use any mantras if you just land one of the two mantras that I just mentioned. Now, here's another thing. Gale Breath doesn't even have bad sustain. Gale Breath actually has probably the best sustain because it has so many multi-ticks. Moves like Astral Wind with 5 multi-ticks, Pillars of Aricia with 3 multi-ticks, Champion's Rotho with 5 multi-ticks, Rising Wind with 5 multi-ticks, Wind Carve with 20 multi-ticks, Wind Gun with up to 1 to 15 multi-ticks, Gale Trap with 12 multi-ticks, even Gale Punch with 8 multi-ticks. And we look at the, let's say we look at the bad Gale Breath mantras, like Updraft, or supposedly bad. It does 60 damage with multiple multi-ticks, over 5 multi-ticks, right there. Then we also have a move, Tornado Kick, which is a 0-star. Does 140 damage at level 5, and it does 30 posture. Does that sound fair? Doing high damage, applying the Suffocate, Winded, boosting your speed, nerfing everybody else's speed? No. But the thing is, Gale Breath still has more. On top of this, it has probably the strongest legendary weapons out of any element. And the reason why I say the strongest, and this is gonna rile a lot of feathers, but it's because they're just so strong and they have such good passives. I mean, Aftercut is applied to Wraithclaw and Curve Blade, meaning they can do 10% more damage. I also forgot to mention that Gale Breath has the ability to spawn in Spectres, which do 10% of the damage of the attack it does, based off of, like, what you hit them with, right? But the thing about the Spectres is they normally do, like, 20 to 30 damage. Here's the issue with it. They're not parryable. And, on top of this, you can use any mantra type, as long as you have the talent, to apply the Haunting Gale stacks. You can use Gaze to apply Haunting Gale, and if they aren't prepared for it, and they get hit with the Gaze, because it's unparryable, they take 30 damage every 3 ticks of your Gaze. That does not sound fair. And then, we look, since all the weapons do have Aftercut, which is really strong talent, by the way, it's just more damage, you would think that's all they get. But no. The Curve Blade and the Wraithclaw get faster if you land ticks of their critical. On top of this, there's also the Gale Pell, which allows you to keep your mobility while critting, which doesn't sound crazy until you realize you could move stack that with a Gale Step in order to dash around, I'd say about 80 studs while doing a critical attack, which also applies knockdown, which true confirms an uppercut, which then also pretty much true confirms a Rising Wind, which, by the way, does 72 damage. That sounds absurd. Now, we might say, oh yeah, Blood Rend strong, Iron Sing is strong, but Blood Rend has the downside of draining the user's own blood, and theoretically, if they play really bad, they're gonna run out of blood. Once they run out of blood, they can't cast mantras, they pretty much lose, right? We look at Iron Sing. Iron Sing doesn't really have that big of a downside, besides doing low damage whenever people don't have, like, no armor, right? If they have full armor, they don't really take that much damage, but that's why Iron Sing is strong, because the utility is it takes away the armor as a, like, benefit for the punishment of doing less damage, and also having the worst guard break in game. Even Thunder Call, which was at one point probably the strongest element in game and was one of the most used elements. The downside of it is it also does really low damage for the upside of applying the shock status, as well as having really good combo extending mantras. Now, we look at something like Shadow or Gale Breath. They don't have any downside, really. I mean, we look at the Shadow talents, they can either blind or stun people. Shadow mantras themselves do a ton of damage. I'm really looking at this table. There's moves like Umbral Slash doing 45, being near instant. There's also moves like Shadow Meteors doing like 40 damage per meteor. That's a lot of damage. And then also you could bait out the meteors. You also have moves like Rising Shadow, which for some reason at level 5 does 91 damage, as well as extending combos and making room for true combos with moves like the Edenbrand Hellcoil crit. And then even a bad option on Shadow, Shadebringer. 44 damage to 88 damage. If they block it, it flings them away so they can't even punish you. They have moves like Shadow Gun, which does 47 damage at level 100 as a guard break with 0 song chant, while also having a Wisp that gives them infinite tempo, while also making them impossible to see. Why does it do that? I don't know. Now, in its current state, right, we're really comparing elements at this point. Flame Charm, without a doubt, is the worst element in the whole game, and it is so sad what state Flame Charm is in. And before I have people saying Flame Charm is the strongest skill tree, or the strongest element, there's only 2 Flame Charm mantras that are actually problematic in its, like how it is right now. And that is Fire Palm, which has a 0.45 second windup, which is 0.05 faster than Exhaustion Strike. And keep in mind, Exhaustion Strike got nerfed to 0.5 because 0.45 was too fast, but they decided to have Fire Palm be that fast while also applying Knockdown, which it should not do. So already off rip, that's the first problematic mantra. The second problematic mantra is Rising Flame, but it's not even Rising Flame that's the problem. It's the Meteor Slam itself from the Rising Flame. So keep in mind, most people aren't even using the full Flame kit. They're using 1 or 2 mantras. And it's the same way with Frost Troll. Most of the time, if you see somebody on Frost Troll, they're on Attunementless Medium with a little bit of Frost Troll. They have Ice Smash and maybe Ice Flock or Warden's Blades. That's really it. Why? Because the general kit just isn't as strong as, like, the kit in Attunementless or the kit in, like, Gale Breath. And I don't really want to have a conversation about Attunementless yet. Right now, the main focus is Gale Breath, and I feel like I did a pretty decent job covering why Gale Breath is strong. I mean, it has no weaknesses right now. Damage is strong, posture is good, stacking is good, you can play hyper aggressive. There isn't really much defensive options, but the stain on it, because it's multi-tick with Bloodless, is really good. Also, multi-ticks favor damage modifiers better, so their multi-ticks are able to get more damage modifiers, so there's that off rip. Also, before somebody says, oh, but Gale Breath isn't that strong, why are all the top 250s on it? Answer that question without saying, oh yeah, it's just because Gale is like a good generalist or something. It's not. Gale Breath just is the strongest. There's no real way to say or to prove that it's not, because it has probably the most benefits right now. So yeah, I don't know what to say at this point, because I've been yapping for 12 minutes, all of which to prove Gale is stupid. The devs still don't nerf it, but they want to nerf other stuff. Yeah.